All right. Ready,
All right,
David?
we're ready to go.
All right. Um, thanks for being here today.
Of course, thanks for having me. We've been planning this a long time, and
Long
I'm
time.
glad we're finally making it happen.
Yeah. So just to walk you through today, this sort of interview format is going to be a little different. I'm going to have some more serious questions for you today.
Okay.
I have 20 questions in total, and then I also have rapid fire, but not the same rapid fire questions as the ones that you've already seen. We'll leave that towards the end. Okay?
For sure.
All right, David. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. My name is David Iano. I am a cancer survivor. I had leukemia when I was 17. I also had a bone marrow transplant when I was 17, and I have been in remission for almost 13 years now.
13 years?
Yeah.
I thought you just celebrated 10 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
No,
Wow.
I'm getting old.
It's been a while.
Pushing 30. I'm basically unk status.
Congratulations on 13 years. What does it feel like being 13 years out?
It's hard to say. I feel like time flies so fast. It feels like I just went through treatment yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's I'm still very tapped into the AYA community. So I still remember some of the things that happened or transpired during treatment. And I think that's important because a lot of times we don't associate the trauma we've been through with PTSD, but it's it's prevalent in our whole lives, right?
Yeah. Interesting. I'm also going to give you our viewers some context here. We met because I was diagnosed when I was 17 too with AML, and you helped me get through treatment. And I used to text them all the time because I couldn't meet any other survivors. Or the one other patient I met didn't end up making it. And then afterwards, after I got out, we still kept in touch. And then you even came over to my college, and I got to take you around college too.
Which was cool. Thank you for that. I had never been to the campus.
And
by the way, you're giving me way too much credit. You did that on your own. I'm just thankful to be part of the journey.
It's all good, man. And then now, what are you doing in your life right now?
Right now, I'm studying to be a child life specialist. My child life specialist made a huge difference. The two I had here, shout out Jake. Nick doesn't work here anymore, but shout out Nick too. My ultimate dream goal is to be an AYA specialist and help adolescents and young adults feel less isolated and make communities in cancer centers and stuff.
Wow, very interesting. All right, ready for the hard questions?
Let's do it.
All right, 13 years out, do you feel safe, or do you still think about relapse, or is that something that you don't think about anymore? I guess that's my question, is that even if you're 13 years out, can you still feel safe?
I do feel safe, and I feel like I changed my mindset onto relapse and stuff. Do I feel like I can't relapse? No, that never really goes away, but I just realized I can't control that, I'm not gonna let something that's not part of my life control what I do in the future or how I feel now, let's say I do relapse, God forbid, knock on wood, right? I just want to be if I relapse, I want to think of all the fun I had in the 13 years I didn't have cancer,
Yeah.
And that's how I will always approach life. What I can control is I don't have cancer now. I'm going to do what I can because I don't have cancer, and that involves having fun or making an impact in our communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. It's I was talking to Fiona about this, but if let's say something is going to happen in 2 months, and whether you know it or not, would you want to live that 2 months being in fear of something that might not even happen, or would you want to rather live your 2 months however much you want to enjoying life, if either way it's going to happen or not, right?
Right. You have so little control over that. It's when I first started my survivorship journey, I would often push people away or not get close to people because I was so afraid that I'd relapse, and then I'd have to break it to them that I have cancer again.
Yeah.
I can't do the things that I could previously do. And then I realized I was limiting my life to something that might happen.
Yeah.
Right now, 100% I don't have cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
What might happen 2 months later, I was limiting myself to the relationships I made, to, like the people I dated, or like the things that I did, because I thought maybe there's a chance that I might end up where I used to be before, which you should never limit your life. If there's one thing that I want people to do is just live their life to their fullest potential,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's talk about that connection in relationships. Sometimes, and I'm asking all these questions in perspective of a patient or a survivor. Sometimes when I go to social settings, or if I'm like meeting family friends or just going back to school or work, it's hard for me not to feel disconnected from other people who haven't gone through a life-threatening illness. And having had to confront that reality and my own mortality, I feel like I have a different perspective on life now, and I feel changed after it's happened. But I'm not really sure, especially around the AYA, the young adult range, that other people can really relate to that. So my question to you is, I have 2 questions for this, but first of all, why live in a world and go into survivorship where it feels like nobody will understand me?
I have this is a 2-part answer.
Mm-hmm.
The first part is that's why I seek community and I seek AYAs to meet other AYAs so they're understood. Often, I was privileged enough to have like a large support base throughout my whole treatment. But even though I had a large support base, I still felt isolated because no one understood the issues I went through, the day-to-day issues where it was like relapse anxiety, going to appointments, like sometimes not being able to do things that I used to be able to do. And that made me feel alone. And until I met another AYA and they validated everything I felt alone, even though like I had a lot of friends visited me in the hospital. And I was privileged enough for that, but that doesn't mean I was always understood. There's always that toxic positivity that people give. Like things will get better, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
Or I would always be like, I look really different than I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And people would lie to me, obviously, right? I didn't have hair. I was like weighed way less. But they were like, no, you look really similar, or you look the same. And I'm like, that's not true. Like, and it wasn't until I met other survivors where they were like, yeah, I feel the same way, like my family. Like sometimes just being validated is enough, right? Like for someone to hear you out and be like, you know what? You're not the only one going through that, because I go through that too. Mm-hmm. And the second part about that is it took me a long time to get to this mindset. And I'll actually tell you a funny story that happened like 1 year ago. So after I finished treatment, I run into this girl at the gym. I didn't go to school my whole senior year. She saw me at the gym. She said, David, I haven't seen you in a long time. What happened? And I said, I got really sick. But she kept on prying. She was like, oh, you were sick? What did you have? So I said I had cancer. This girl started crying like right in front of me. She was like, oh, no, but listen to this. This is a good story. She started crying right in front of me. I said, it's okay. I don't have it anymore. I've been in remission a year. And then I don't see this girl again for 10 years. I go to the mall. I see the same girl again. We catch up because we hadn't seen each other for a long time. And by the end of the conversation, she says, do you remember that one time I saw you at the gym? And I said, yes. And she said, I'm sorry for reacting so inappropriately. Oh, okay. So my thing is, everyone has been ignorant about something at some point, right? Like, it's like you said, like people who have gone through cancer, like haven't gone through cancer, like tell you about their issues and you can't relate to them because we've gone through something like way worse. Like they'll say, oh, my car just broke down, or like this person just broke up with me. And in the grand scheme of things, you were like, dude, I was fighting for my life at one point, right? But first, people have always been ignorant. When I first was diagnosed, I thought I was going to die. I'm going to be honest with you. Yep. Because I was like, I didn't know how fast like cancer research has been, cancer treatment has advanced, like how high my survival rate actually was in the grand scheme of things. I just thought I was going to die because I heard that word. So everyone's ignorant about something. What's wrong is willful ignorance, right? When you tell them your issues and then they don't try to understand them. Like, they are ignorant. They don't care about how you feel. They're just doing what's most convenient, which is like not doing research, not actually paying attention to someone. We all live our life through our own lens. When we've gone through something like cancer, that's like probably like top 3 worst things you could ever go through. And it's not fair for someone else who's never gone through that, like, to like compare their own problems, which is subjective to their own life and own struggles, to compare it to like one of the worst things we have overcome, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's why I am empathetic to other people's problems, even though like at sometimes I'm like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to me, but it is a big deal to them, you know? Yeah. I don't know if that was a very long-winded answer.
No, I think there's a lot of good points in there, and I think what you mentioned about not being able to control other people's reactions. I mean, 10 years after, like, seems like she's matured as a person. That makes sense. At the same time, you can't really blame someone for the way they react because no one's really trained on how to respond to that, right? But I think it also highlights a point that, you know, when you have reactions like that where other people start crying and like they don't know how to react and you feel like, oh, now I got to take care of you when like you're the one going through it. I'm also like, that kind of discourages me from telling other people about it. And maybe that in a way can also build up some more isolation because now you don't know how other people will react or what they will do. I mean, you also mentioned like unfairness and like you're empathetic to people who haven't been through something similar. But I have a different perspective where I'm like, man, this sort of unfairness in life happened to me. I know everyone has their own form, but this seems even more like I should say like injustice in the world. Like my question is like, after so much injustice has happened to you in life, how do you reintegrate into a world knowing that there's not going to be any justice that compensates for the unfairness you've been through? Does my question make sense?
No,
Okay, let me try and rephrase it.
Yeah.
So I can say that, why did this happen to me? This was so unfair that I got something I had no control over that completely derailed my life. No matter how good of a person I was, no matter how bad of a person I was, I got cancer, and all my other people in the world got to live the way they wanted, whereas I had to spend my life going through treatment, and now it still affects me throughout in survivorship. And I have limitations now on my life that I didn't have before, and it feels unfair that I now have limitations that, you know, I didn't have, and it wasn't even my decision. And now I'm expected to reintegrate into survivorship. You know, after treatment, they tell me to go back. How do I live my life now knowing that there's so much unfairness in the world where not just me, but this happens to so many other people, and there's not really any, like, solution or justification to it in making things right?
I feel like that's a lot of processing one has to do. Because I think I felt like that at the beginning of my survivorship journey when I was 1 or 2 years out. Mm-hmm. I think when I first was going through treatment, it was just go. Like I was just trying to survive, you know? Mm-hmm. And then after I finished, I was like the unfairness of life. Like, why did I have to go through that? And then furthermore, like some of the people I met in the hospital, just like you, they didn't make it. Mm-hmm. So that's when I dealt with it like a little more. And to be honest, there's times where I'm still dealing with that, you know, like where I'm like, why did I survive and the other person didn't? Like, yeah. Why is life so unfair? Like, these people are having to grieve like someone so young. And to be honest, there is no concrete answer to that. The only thing is, you know, taking care of yourself, having like a self-help routine, going to therapy, things like that, that will help. I guess, like, to me, this might not work for everyone, but to me, like I've said, it's building communities so no one feels isolated in these issues of like unfairness where they feel like angry at life, which you're totally valid. Again, what we go through is like some heavy stuff, like stuff that no one should have to go through. Yep. So there's no way in being like, why, like, fighting the unfairness of life, like, there's no solution to that. We sometimes have been dealt, like, the worst hand, but the best thing someone could do is just find someone who will understand, who will validate you, who will, at worst, listen. And I think often that's the part that's not thought about. My loved ones, you know, my parents, or like, they try their best, but at the end of the day, like, sometimes you don't need a solution to a problem. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'd be like, oh, life is so unfair. Like, I'm so angry at life. And they'd be like, no, but look at this. Look, you overcame so much. Like, you survived. And, like, at some point, I just want someone to validate that my life sucked. At that point, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. Someone just to listen and not give you any solutions.
Exactly. We underestimate how much our presence is actually worth.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to also offer a little bit of my
Go
perspective
ahead.
here, is that sometimes, like, when I was talking to Jason, I was like, are you still angry? And he's 30 years out, and he's like, yeah, I'm still angry. And I get that, like, okay, there are moments where, you know, we can feel that out. And then, but I don't know if feeling that angry long term, or like injustice, like, why did this happen long term, is the best way to go. I think what helps me, and might help some of our viewers, I don't know, is that the part where I feel most unfair about is that all the loss I experienced and all the things that were taken from me. So, like, all the parts of my identity I can't do anymore, all the, like, parts I put value into the world, all the rules I had made about how the universe works that don't work anymore. But I also have to remember that there's a lot of positive things that have come into my life because of this experience, right? Like, now I know, what do I value in life? Like, I know that now I'm more passionate about things, where I can do things like this and talk to people like you. Now I have some sort of purpose in life where I know, like, hey, I know life isn't a guarantee, so I want to make use of it while I can. So while it's taken a lot of things from me, it's also given me some sort of lessons. Now, I can also argue, and I can say that, did I have to learn those lessons through cancer? Could there have been an easier way?
Exactly.
Maybe not. I'm not sure. But at least also appreciating the good effects, or the positive effects that have come out of it, I think makes me at least a little more calm, or a little more okay with what happened.
You see, I have a hard, like, I agree with everything you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't want to be toxically positive, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because I agree with the same thing. Because I remember when I was in isolation, I was like, I used to hate grocery shopping. And then I wasn't able to do anything. Just be in my house or my hospital room.
Yeah.
So then, like, it, like, put a whole different perspective. Like, I have my transplant day poster that Child Life made me. Shout out Child Life.
Yeah.
And every time I'm having a bad day, I do look at it. And I'm like, wow, today might be horrible, but I could always be down worse, you know? Like, you could always compare it to something. And it's like you said, like, sure, there's things that cancer took from me that, like, I will never gain back, you know? But, like, to every negative that cancer brought me, they brought me something positive. Like, the AYA community, like, the conversations and the love and, like, the acceptance I feel from them, it's like, it can't be replicated by anything else, I don't think. And I'm super proud to be part of such a resilient and, like, accepting community. So, yeah, I mean, there's gains and losses in everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that is a valid perspective, is that, you know, you don't have to be positive every day. You know, feel out your negative emotions. It's okay to feel, like, have bad days.
Right.
Definitely. But with the part I don't want to put forward is that every day it's okay to have a bad day, or, like, stay in that mindset. Like, you do have to put in some effort to come out of that. So it's okay to have bad days, but if every day is a bad day, you have to do some processing to get out of that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've met Jason. I don't think he's angry all the time.
Yeah.
He seems like, from what I've seen, I spent a lot of time with him and I've known him for years. He seems like a very happy guy. But, I mean, there's times where you think about, like, you process everything that happened too, and you're like, I still feel angry and I don't have for me, that's survivor's guilt, right? Like, why did this happen? Like, I still don't have an explanation and I feel angry about that, you know? Which is valid too. Like, what I want to get out of this is like, everyone is entitled to feel a certain way at some point. It's like when you feel consistently sad, I think that's when like we do need other help, right? Like, whether that be like a self-care routine or something else, then yeah. But like, it is okay to feel sad sometimes. It is okay to feel angry about your treatment sometimes, no matter how far. I mean, I'm almost 13 years out, and there's times where I still, you know, cry. I still like feel angry that this happened to me, and that's valid.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
How are we doing so far?
Good, great.
Okay, cool.
I feel like I should be in a therapy couch.
Because these are tough questions.
Yeah. But it's okay. I feel like those are the ones that are most relatable.
Yeah. All right, this next one is, did you ever feel betrayed by your body? And what's your mindset about thinking about your body now?
You know, I didn't think about it during treatment. I feel like I processed it after. Like, I had this perception. I don't know why, because I feel like I was in high school. I was dumb. But I thought once I finished treatment, I'd be like, you're going to go back exactly to how you used to be before. And then I went through a bone marrow transplant, and I was like, man, this is even worse. Like, I can barely walk. When I was in high school, I played a lot of sports. I played with my friends. I was active like that. And then when I got a bone marrow transplant, I had to relearn how to walk. Yep. I weighed like 90 pounds. Yep. So that's when I felt like my body betrayed me. And it was so frustrating. Like when my friends would ask me to go play basketball or something, and I'm just like, basically like a cone. Like I couldn't do anything. My friends would just zoom past me. And I remember beating some of them in basketball or like soccer and being like, wow, now I'm like way worse. So that's when I felt like my body betrayed me. And that was like super frustrating, where I was like, why can't I get back to the level I was? I put in so much work to get to that level, and now I'm just this. And then, you know, I worked really hard to get to that level, and I accepted that I was proud of the new person I was. And eventually, I did start working out, and that helped a lot with like the body dysmorphia I used to feel, which I did like right after treatment. I was like, oh, like my body used to look a certain way, and now it looks like way differently. And I don't know, I think something hit where I was like, maybe this isn't like the right thing to say, but this helped me. I was like, you know, I could feel bad for myself, or I could do something about it. And that's when I started going to the gym and dedicating to fitness and stuff like that.
Got it. Yeah. That makes sense. I'm trying to get these researchers at shoot. I shouldn't say that name.
Blur it out. Beep it out. Beep it out.
I'll bleep out the institution name because we're not allowed to say him.
Beep them out. Beep them out.
But these researchers here.
I think I did say the name earlier, by the way, when I gave a shout out to Jake and Nick. But
that's
bleep
okay.
the name out, but don't bleep Jake and Nick out, okay?
Yeah, that's okay. But I'll bleep out the college name.
Okay, do it.
It's all good. But these researchers here are studying the role of mindset during treatment. And I don't know, maybe we'll have them on, maybe don't, depending on what they say. But they found that mindset actually does influence some of your outcomes. I mean, it has to do with like your stress levels, and there's no like concrete biological explanation, but there are associations that have been proved to exist. But one of their mindsets that they talked about was that instead of feeling like you're against your body, you're fighting with your body, or your body is on your side. Because the truth is, before you got cancer, you know, there are multiple times where you probably could have gotten cancer, but your immune system detected it, and you could have, you know, passed it and killed it while it was there.
Hold on, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to say I'm working with these researchers right now, and I'm just watching their videos as we speak.
Oh, dang.
So, I mean, this is part of my assignment that they gave me that I have to report back.
Yep.
But I do feel I feel hot and cold about like the type of videos they send.
Yeah.
Do you want me to share how I feel or no?
If you want to, go ahead.
Sure. I think the video makes mindset look a lot easier than it actually is.
Yeah.
Because if your mind was that powerful, like, it's like saying, oh, you're depressed, just change your mindset and like you'll be like less depressed. That's not how it works. That's not how sadness works. That's not how anger works. Like, just like they say the mind is stronger than you think in a positive way, it's stronger than you think in a negative way too. Like, there's times where you're like, your mind takes over, like, this is gonna go bad, this is gonna go bad, this is gonna go bad, this is gonna go bad. Like, and you can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. Sure, it might turn out good, but like your mind's saying that in the process, right? Yeah. If your mind was like a switch that could just turn on, then I would just have the limitless pill. I'd have 100% like.
I sent them my feedback, and I gave them pretty strong feedback about that. But they did send me some papers about, like, I think if you use it in a, like, supplemental way, like, it's not gonna, like, it's not the cure for anything. It won't solve any problems, but it does, I think, help. For some people, it does work. I would say that.
That's
not
fair. It's subjective, but, like, when you're putting up a study and like an educational thing, it's like it makes it seem like it's a matter of fact. You know, my friends in the hospital, by the way, I used to be very toxically positive. When I first overcame cancer, I just rode this cancer high where I was like, I overcame cancer, like I learned what's important in life, what's valuable in life. And she sat me down and she told me, just let me say that it sucks because it sucks.
Yep.
Right? And that is a positive mindset too. There is no right way of coping. If you saying something sucks, which according to that video is a negative mindset, then like, how do you know that's not helping that person get through cancer? By having that mindset of seeing their situation for what it is. Mm-hmm. But they'll get my review later. Yeah. I'm still working on it.
We'll,
you just got a preview.
Maybe we'll get them in next interview or something to ask. But for some context for our viewers, as survivors, we're part of a survivorship group here where we give feedback on a lot of research projects that people want checked by, or like thoughts by cancer survivors. And so a lot of times we have these crazy ideas come in that clearly haven't been run by patients before. And there's some things like this which might be a little controversial among patients too. So we just try our best to get the patient perspective in.
Well, I'm glad they sent it to us, and I'm glad they didn't just like send it to like people who had never gone through something like this and being like, okay, they like it, so we're gonna keep it rolling. I don't think it's bad. Funny. Like I said, I don't think everything is bad that they said. And I agree with some of the things they said, but it doesn't work for everyone. I would say it's like 50, because I think they threw up a number that it was like ridiculously high. That was like 70%.
Yeah.
Do I think it's 70%? No, I don't. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. It's just so funny. Like, I'm just thinking about some of their projects and stuff. Like, it's funny how, like, some things that seems kind of obvious to us are things that nobody, like, if they haven't been through the experience themselves, they wouldn't think of.
Right.
Speaking of, there's some organizations out there who are majorly cancer related who might reach out to you as a survivor and being like, hey, can you share your story for us? And we won't really give you anything for it, but you'll fundraise a lot of money that will supposedly help other survivors and research and things like that. What are your thoughts about doing those types of events? Do you ever feel like you're selling your story?
This is a fully loaded question. Yes and no. Like, I feel like any way I could feel a patient or like survivor that I can't reach, like, 'cause they're distance away, I'll share my story, right? I'm totally fine with that, because the goal is not to give them promotion. The goal is to reach other survivors, right? If they happen to get promotion or get raising because secondhand, that's my secondhand goal. Like, my goal is to reach survivors and make them feel less isolated. If they happen to get funding because of me, so be it, right? But I think it is where I do have a problem and where I see these organizations take advantage of us is when they record like personal moments of like grieving. I remember there was this one time, not going to say the organization's name. They wanted to get sponsors. We had like a luminary bag activity, and a lot of people had lost friends. A lot of survivors had lost friends, and they were crying during the when we lit all of them. And a whole camera crew came in during this activity. It's like they're monetizing our grief.
Oh my god!
Like, to me, it was like so inappropriate. When it comes to that, that's when I have a huge problem. You do not have to. You're not gonna get funding because you show a bunch of cancer survivors. You will get funding, but it's like immoral, right?
Yeah.
I just think of it like, especially as men, right? Like, a lot of times, like, especially in, I can't speak on any other culture, but in Latino culture, we're taught not to cry. We're taught not to show any sign of weakness. To me, crying is not weakness, but that's what we're taught. So let's just say there's like, I'm crying in that thing, right? A whole camera crew comes and records me while I'm doing it. Like, I'm never going to do it again. I'm never going to open up again because I feel like I'm being exposed in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's when I have the bigger issue, when it's like you're monetizing someone's situation, tragic situation or grief to get your company more money.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And there's you really got to be careful who you work with. I've also done speaking events for some organizations, and I think for me, it really depends on their intentions behind it and like how much freedom they give you. Because there's some pretty popular organizations. I just heard of one where someone did a really big speaking event, and their family member, they had a loss. They had a loss in the family. And so thinking about that, like, and then going up to give a super hopeful, inspiring speech, like, I don't know if that's the best idea or not for that survivor. But the organization kept on pushing them. And the organization was like, hey, why don't you include your loss in the speech so it feels even more powerful or something? I was like, wow. Like, and they were pressuring them to do that. I'm like, that's when it starts to become like unethical for
And you
me.
know why it's unethical? Because they're telling you how you should share your story.
Yep.
That's when it's a problem. When it's like something, when it's like a movie for them, basically, like entertainment for them, or like a way to get monetization, that's when it's a problem. When they're like, you get the mic, you could share your story however you want. When you get free expression, I do not have a problem with them, right? Because you're saying your truth.
Yep. Yeah, maybe that's like a good rule for that, yeah. But I appreciate you being open about that, because that's some of like stuff that, I don't know, I was never taught about. Like, people reaching out, you're like, hey, can you share your story? And you're like, you might be trying to process it at the same time and doing it in front of other people. Like, I was just at this event too where we had a panel of survivors, and like in the very first question about, hey, can you introduce yourself? Like, they broke down crying. And I was like, man, was this really the right place to like show all this emotion, in front of everyone? In the very first question, I think it helped them, but I'm not sure. I hope they were okay with it.
That's the thing. That's the other thing. After like an interview airs, or like even before it does, before you're about to air it, right? You have to consent. Be like, hey, are you cool with me airing this part where you're crying, right? Because they may not be. They may thought they were ready, and then when the interview happened, they're like, you know what? I'm not ready to do this. Sorry. Like, can you cut this part out?
Yeah.
But you don't know you're in a photo op until you've been in a photo op, and you're like, dang, they really took advantage of me, It happens. It's just something to look out for. I would just, like, survivors, if you're sharing your story, just make sure you have full agency of what you want to share. And if someone tells you not to share that, and to share a more personal part, then I would just, it's a red flag. Just look into it. You decide what you want to share. Remember, it's your story. No one tells you how to share it.
Yep. Yeah. Just like these interviews, like I always say that the interviewee or the other person has full control. Like, you're in this just as much as I am, right? We're only gonna put out what you want, and what you're okay with, what I'm okay with, and things like that. All right, ready for the next question?
Let's do it.
How you feeling so far?
Good.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to cite a study here. I know it's not always the absolute truth, but I want you to hear me out.
Okay.
This was published in 2018, and in the U.S., it was found that 37% of AYA survivors no longer followed up with their survivorship care. In Canada, it was found that up to 70% of survivors, AYA survivors, didn't follow up with their survivorship care. 13 years out, do you follow up with your survivorship care? And then why do you think so many survivors don't?
Sometimes. I sometimes follow up with my survivorship care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a two-side answer again. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll say personally, and then I'll say why I think this is the case, right?
Go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
one, the reason I sometimes don't is because I've been in grad school, and like transferring your care is
Oh my
so
gosh.
complicated.
Yes,
It's
yes.
so complicated. So honestly, if I'm going to grad school working full time, do you really think I'm gonna go to all those appointments?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm gonna go to my yearly physical. I'm gonna get my blood checked, and then I'm gonna be like, you know what? I did what I can with the time I had, right?
Yeah.
So one is convenience. Like if they made that transitional care like easier than it is now, which it's not, you have to like jump a lot of hoops to get your care transition from one hospital to another establishment, then I would be more inclined to doing follow-up care like on a yearly routine, right? So that's my personal issue with like follow-up care. And okay, we don't have to keep this in here, but I think the reason why, what was the stat? Like
It was 70% in Canada and 37% in the U.S. But basically, a lot of survivors is what
because
I'm saying.
I don't Canada's medical system, like don't they have free healthcare?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. So if you don't have insurance, you're not going to get follow-up care. The AYA population goes from what, like 13 to 39?
Around that age.
Okay, so by 26, you're not longer in your parents' insurance plan, right? So that's 13 years of potentially, if you have a bad insurance, of paying a lot of money for getting routine checkups.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the bigger issue lies, where it's like, obviously, if it's readily accessible, you don't have to pay, like, you're more likely to go to the hospital, where you're like, if you're charged like $200, $300, some people can't afford that.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get checked.
That's interesting. I think you're right in terms of insurance does play a big part of it, for sure. And then transitions of care is also really hard because different institutions treat the same disease different ways. And then also, like pediatric versus adult side, graduating from pediatric to adult, your care also is going to be viewed differently just by different doctors.
That's the other issue, though. That's the other issue that I do have with survivorship care. Because you're followed up with a doctor. See, I had a doctor for how long? Since I was 17 to, I think I got kicked out when I was 26, 23.
Mm-hmm.
We kicked out.
Yeah.
I still show up at the I tell them, like, I went last year. I was 28. I was the oldest person by like 20 years. There, I'm definitely an uncle. But I do see a different team, right? Outside of like my nurse practitioner. And that was really hard because you build this rapport with this person, and then they're kind of taken from you, and you get this whole new doctor who doesn't like really know you that well outside of like what they see in a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's like harder to like tell them all the issues you're facing when you don't really have a relationship with them.
Yeah. I've had doctors who it's like my post-transplant yearly follow-up where they decide like what all my limitations are, and then they'll see me next year. And the doctor comes in and she doesn't even get my disease correct.
Really?
Yeah, she thought I had ALL. She's like, you have steroids, right? I'm like, I've never had steroids besides like the eye drops. I was like, that's been super frustrating. Like, again, these are doctors who haven't like don't really know you, right? So when they come in and they get your diagnosis wrong, and that's like your
That
one
is like your job. You had
appointment.
one job, buddy.
Yeah, there's your one appointment that decides like the rest of your life for the next year. You're like, how do I trust what
Exactly,
they say?
when they can't even read a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's funny to me when it's brought up like in like basic situations. Like I had tonsillitis like 2 weeks ago, and they were like, "You have tonsillitis," and like casually she brought up, "You had leukemia, right?" And I was like, "I did."
Is that related?
Why is that relevant? Yeah,
Yeah, what?
exactly.
Yeah.
No, but she's like, then she said it's like, I was like, why is that related? And then she
Yeah.
was like, because like you have to do further testing for I don't know what the science is behind that, but she said you had to do further testing for what's that? What's that disease that gets in your lungs? I don't know.
Genetic?
Pneumonia.
Oh, okay.
They're like, we have to do testing for pneumonia because like you've had leukemia before, and I was like, I don't know how that's related, but sure. Okay.
You know, I had here, I'll share one more story. But when I was going in survivorship care, like my first year out or something, I had to see an eye doctor. I ended up having cataracts as a later effect afterwards, but I saw an eye doctor and she was like, so have you got an eye test before like these? And I was like, no. And she was like, oh, well, this is a good baseline if you relapse. I was like, what?
Really?
I just got out of treatment. Oh, do you know that guy? Is that Jake?
Jake.
Whoa, this is kind of
Wait,
crazy.
hey, wait, bring him in because I just gave him
Come
a
in,
shout
Jake.
out here.
You're in our
I just gave him a
interview.
shout out.
All right.
All right, who is this? Who is this?
He is one of the reasons why I wanted to become a child life specialist. He was my child life specialist when I was here. When I was
Crazy.
17.
Guys, yeah.
We got a crazy guest star.
I know we have a celebrity.
No, I'm stoked to see you guys. I'm glad you guys are doing this. I'm going to pull up a chair. I got a meeting in about 10 minutes, so I'm
Right.
just going to come in and say hello. But
Yeah, of course.
any questions for me? Can we surprise you on this, put you on the spot here?
Here, you
but-
come in here so
Yeah.
we can share kind of the mics. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'll ask these questions to you guys because these are questions that survivors had. How do you deal with feeling like you're behind? Like if you have to miss school because of treatment or because like taking gap years or stuff like that. How do you deal with that feeling that you're behind?
David.
How do I feel when I'm behind?
How do you deal with feeling
No, like
behind?
if you're going through treatment, right, and feeling like you're not keeping up with your like goals or expectations, basically, you went through that.
Yeah, I did go
Right.
through that, but so here's what happened, okay? So I wasn't motivated to go to school. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to repeat the year. It's okay. Like, I'm going through too much. I feel overwhelmed. And then one day I went back to my high school. I visited back, and literally everyone pitied me. So then that's what gave me enough motivation to be like, okay, I got to catch up. I'm not going to go through a year of everyone pitying me, right? Like, everyone was like, are you okay? You know, you hear like a cancer diagnosis, everyone thinks you're going to die, basically. So basically everyone, they were like so like touchy and like, I don't know. You could tell like they all, even people who didn't like me when I was in high school were like, are you okay? Like, let me get your number. Like, we should go out. And that's when I realized like I don't want to go through this. So that's what gave me the motivation to like finish all my schoolwork like while I was in the hospital. I guess like
So out of spite.
I don't yeah, there you go, out of spite. Out of not wanting to put up with that, basically.
And I think there's something to kids that do have to go back to the school, right? I mean, with our Cheers program and the teen groups that we would do, that group became really strong because kids were going back to high school and just seeing that the problems of normal high schoolers aren't the same as the problems they were facing. You know, I think there's a whole challenge to going back and just trying to be normal, that your life has changed, right? Your life has changed profoundly. And so the reality is that things are just different, right? And so being caught up, I think you realize over time that the being behind thing, there's plenty of time to do your things, right? And I think that's important for people to understand. You know, schooling and college and all that stuff, you can catch up, you can do things later. But this is the reality of, having medical issues, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. So-
And it goes back to like what you talked about, right? Like a lot of people don't understand like, or aren't taught what it's like to treat someone who's gone through like some sort of chronic illness, and
Yeah.
that's I think that's the bigger issue where like people didn't know how to treat me, and like that's where like you talked about like the unfairness of that. How does one change all that? I don't know. I feel like there has to be some sort of like education process in like where a teacher tells our class like, hey, this person went through this is how we're going to treat them.
Yeah. I think the way that some things that helped me like cope with it was that realizing that there's different ways to make progress, and maybe it might not be like a year in school as your level of progress, but like emotionally learning how to deal with challenges, learning how to process like hardships in life, learning what's important to you in life. Like that's other ways of making progress that you might be making that other
Yeah.
people might not. So every day you're still making some sort of progress in some sort of way. It just not might be like in terms of the official school way.
Yeah. Well,
or
just
work
what a
way.
what a learning experience.
Yeah.
Going through what you guys had to go through, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge learning experience that those other kids, people don't have, right?
Yeah.
It changes you, right? And so, I think there's opportunities and things that you guys learned that, resilience and understanding of compassion and going through challenging, the challenges of your treatment taught you different things, right? And I
Yeah.
think the people that are, you were saying that the ones that are pitying you and stuff, right? They don't have any other experience like that, right? So they're trying to be helpful, but they don't realize how it motivated you in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's a learning experience for them to have as well, right? That they don't have to pity you or feel it that way, you can help them understand that too. It's challenging for everyone, I think, but I feel, you guys know better than anyone what you learned through your process, right?
I don't have this question on my list, but now that you're here, Jake, how do you feel that one of your former patients is coming back to now be a child life specialist, just like
I'm
you?
honored. I'm honored. We need more males in the field for sure. And David's obviously a great individual. He's done so much with the AYA program. I'm just super proud of him. I'm stoked to have someone joining the field that's a male. Our field is very limited in terms of how many males specialists there are. It's getting more and more, which is really nice, but I think it fills a niche within the hospital setting, and hopefully you'll be, here to do that and help all our male patients that are going through things. I think there's something that's needed.
The craziest part is, now after I've done practicum and internship, and like I was the only male in both my practicum and when I was here, both my child life specialists were males.
Yeah, it was pretty rare, Nick and I. Yeah,
That is
Pretty
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
I learned so much to them. I'm gonna show love back. Okay. I feel like the reason I chose child life is because they made my time in the hospital like so much easier. A lot of the time people don't think about the psychosocial aspects of cancer, right? Like, and Nick and Jake were so good at asking not only how I was feeling like physically, but like what was going on, like how I was feeling like with my friends, or like they would talk to me about sports or like video games, when it's like people don't really think about that. When you're going through treatment, like all your loved ones just ask you about how your treatment is going, how you're feeling, and at times, especially when your treatment isn't going well, that's exhausting. That's the last thing you want to talk about. Like every other medical professional is asking you how your treatment's going or how you're feeling. So for them to make me feel like the 17-year-old boy that I was meant everything to me, and it normalized my cancer and my hospital experience. So yeah.
No, it's so cool that you're going to be able to do that going back, for other patients and families. And so it's an honor to have you join the field. I think more and more males, the better more males we can get, the better in our field. Right? So,
Awesome.
yeah. I got to run. I got a meeting. But so nice to see you guys.
We'll be in
and
touch.
We'll talk soon. Yeah, for sure. I want to catch up more, so we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you for joining.
I'm switching back to this chair.
Good. We'll just here, push that chair over.
Oh,
and then
okay,
we'll get
okay.
that chair.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
This is my first time being in an official studio.
You're good. You're good. Wow. Unexpected guest star, and I just realized.
I
he
know, and we
was-
gave him a shout out too.
Yeah.
You'll have to blur out his badge though.
Yeah, I just realized that, and that takes a long time for it to render. The like blurring is so much time.
Sometimes you can do a thing where it tracks it. You can get it, like if you get it to, since he's sitting, and
Okay.
then like it'll just keep going.
What if we just move that exclamation point above Vivek's head and we put it on his badge?
I don't have that type of
Or you
skills.
could just cut the whole Jake thing out. I didn't know he was gonna.
No,
we'll
it's
keep it
important.
in,
That
yeah.
we gave him a shout out and he showed up. We like summoned him basically.
I think what most likely end up happening is that I won't make any edits like I never do. I'll just blur out the badge. I'll bleep out some, or like I'll just cut out the audio whenever we mention the institution names.
Or why don't you just blur out the put like an LV or like a Gucci
you just said
on
it again.
Oh.
Actually,
No,
here, let's move
okay,
on.
okay,
I'll
okay.
figure it out. I'll figure it out. We'll move on. All right. Coming to the end here, and I have some rapid fire questions.
Let's
here
do
for
it.
you, okay.
I'm excited for this part.
And instead of options, I'm going to ask you agree or disagree. So I'll give you a prompt, and you tell me if you agree or disagree, okay?
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
All right. Cancer is a big part of my identity.
Yes. It
Agree.
is. Well, I agree.
Okay, cool.
I can't follow direct. My ADHD flared up. Sorry.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's move on. I am grateful for having gone through cancer.
Middle agree.
There are times where I didn't know what to do during my cancer experience.
Agree.
Life gets better after treatment.
I'm leaning towards agreeing in this stage.
Okay. I want to go into healthcare or am working in healthcare because of my cancer experience.
Agree. 1000% agree.
I feel pressured to go into a career in healthcare because of my cancer experience.
No, I disagree.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, I agree that it did, but I don't feel. I think the key word there is pressured.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel pressured to do anything. It's just I had such a positive experience with child life that I want to do it.
Gotcha. Awesome. I wouldn't have changed anything in my cancer experience.
False. Disagree.
There are positive side effects or good things in my life now that have come out of cancer.
Middle agree. I feel like my mentality, came out of cancer, and I'm glad I have this mentality now.
I had control over my survival.
Disagree.
My diagnosis was my fault.
1000% disagree.
My emotional pain has healed over time.
Agree.
I think about cancer every day.
Disagree. Not every day. Maybe every other day.
Okay. I feel supported in survivorship.
Agree.
Agree?
Well, by who though? Like,
Up to interpretation.
okay. Well, I have a lot of survivors. So yes, they all support me. I feel like I have
Okay.
a place to talk, for people to talk to when I'm feeling down.
Alright. I can still pursue my childhood dreams in survivorship.
My childhood dreams was to be a NBA player. I'm 5'10". That wasn't because of cancer, I don't think. Maybe it spurred my growth. We'll just say it's because of cancer. I'm not a basketball player.
This is like chemotherapy.
I know.
Yeah.
It was. I would have been in the NBA. Like, it totally derailed my. I would have been a hooper right now.
All right. Let me ask you this then. We have like three more questions. What's something you're doing now that you didn't think you'd be able to do before?
Living life to its full potential. Once you go through something like that's so traumatic, and like it's like you said, you not to take life for granted anymore. I think before cancer, I felt invincible and I felt like nothing was gonna happen to me, and then your whole life changes in such a short amount of time. But that puts things into perspective, right? Like right now I'm healthy. Right now I don't have anything. So now I'm gonna live life. And I don't mean like, when I say live life, I don't mean do like the wild stuff or like go party every day. I mean do something that will make a difference in society. And to me, that's advocating for AYAs, connecting other AYAs to AYAs, and just having fun too.
Cool. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out that for supporting you throughout your life and your journey?
Of course, my mom, my dad, my sister, all the AYs that I've met. There's too many of you to name. The Child Life team that helped me, the nurse team that helped me, and everyone who was part of my cancer/survivorship journey. There's too many of you to name, but you guys are the reasons I'm alive today.
Cool. And then last question for our viewers out there. What message do you want to leave for the rest of the world?
Wow, it's a vague question, but I'll say one, trust the process. You know, like there was times where I was not as happy as I was now, and there was times where I thought my treatment would never end, as like it might not seem. Stay true to your story. Don't let anyone decide your narrative ever. I know we talked about pity and how other people say you should say your story. You, at the end of the day, you decide your narrative, right? If that means like you think your story is negative, then so be it. That's your story. You have the right to say that. If you think it's positive, you have the right to say that. Like, just stay true. No one can, you go through too much to let someone else say who you are. So that's the last message I want to come.
Cool. Thank you for coming on, David.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. And we'll keep in touch soon, okay?
Yeah.